I would like to start this one by going back to the mechanization and how that mechanization has helped 2% of America's workforce, the 2% of today versus the 90% of 200 years ago that were involved with agriculture. So the invention of different machines has really helped us produce even more food today with less people. And I would like to walk you through some of the inventions that started it all. In 1793, Eli Whitney invented the cotton gin. Basically, this machine got the seed out of the cotton fiber. Used to, people had to pick it out by hand, but now there's a machine that did it for them. Soil improvement and crop rotation. It was an idea that was invented in the 1890s by George Washington Carver. George Washington Carver developed the crop rotation strategy using legume plants, plants that basically make their own nitrogen. They take nitrogen in the gaseous state from the air and transform it in their roots to go back into the soil. And basically what this did is it improved the soil. An example plant is the peanut. Peanuts plants were planted after big soil depriving plants like tobacco, and they help improve the soil. The grain reaper was invented by Cyrus McCormick in 1834. It was used to save labor in cutting wheat, oats, and similar crops. So these big grasses with seed heads on the top, they were used for either animal feed or they were used for making flour and bread. Basically, this tool was used to cut that wheat, and it made it much faster. And there's an example picture at the bottom left. All right, the iron plow. It was invented in the early 1800s by former President Thomas Jefferson. Basically, the iron plow was used to break up the land. There's a seed planter that was invented in 1834, and then the cotton planter was invented in 1836 by Henry Blair. Basically, this machine, instead of planting these seeds that were small by hand, you could put them in this big hopper or this tub, and then you push this machine that you see on the left, and it basically puts seeds into the ground a certain distance apart for every time you push it down the row. So much easier, less backbreaking work. Alright, just like before Thomas Jefferson invented the iron plow, now it was important for the John Deere to invent the steel plow. He invented the steel moldboard plow in 1837, and basically the reason behind this is the iron plow would collect lots of soil as it moved through these southern sands, and so that would eventually it'd be useless. You had to clean off the blades and you had to start over. So the steel plow, as it moved through the soil, it actually made the steel shine. It actually rolled right off of that steel blade. So it was better for those sandy soils in the south. And that's where John Deere, the big tractor manufacturer, got his start. The corn picker was invented by Edmund Quincy in 1850. And basically what it is, it picked corn. I mean, it's that simple. So much easier than picking corn by hand. There's a machine that cut it and did it for you. Next up, and it's pretty important to the animal industry, by Joseph Guyton. He invented barbed wire in 1874, and it dramatically changed the livestock industry. Basically, you had free-range cows before. They could go anywhere they wanted. They got hurt by other things, predators, or areas they weren't supposed to go into. They got lost. But now with barbed wire, you could contain those animals, and you kept them where you wanted them to be. The milking machine was invented by a woman named Anna Baldwin. It was invented in 1878, and it changed the dairy industry. Used to, you had to go out there and milk the cows by hand, but now there's a machine that you hooked up suction cups to, and you were able to extract milk from the udders much easier and faster. Alright, it was important in 1879 when Thomas Elkins designed a device to help with the task of preserving perishable foods. It was essentially a refrigerator, the first refrigerator of its kind. So it helped with the safe storage and longer storage of food. The tractor. It was not invented originally by John Deere, okay? So in 1904, Benjamin Holt invented the tractor. Make sure you know that. It came to replace mules and other sources of power, the original horsepower. So Benjamin Holt invented this device that we now call the tractor. It was this larger piece of equipment that you would no longer need mules to pull plows. You had this machine to do it for you. The gene gun, something more popular today, more recent invention. In 1987, John Sanford, he developed this device that they call the gene gun, and it basically, as you see in that picture on the left, you inject cells with genetic information. This has come in handy on this recent advancements into making genetically modified crops. All right, something that we're all seeing, we have it on our in our hands today, on our smartphones, is GPS technology. In 1993, there was a tractor-based global positioning system, the GPS, and basically it's sophisticated a GIS, the Geographic Information Systems, used a variety of techniques to gather data, such as the soil condition, a lot more what your smartphone can do, the humidity, the temperature, and other variables, and it basically was a cheat sheet for farmers. It helped them plant their fields, and it also told them everything they needed to know in order to grow a healthy crop that year. Robotic milking machines in the late 1990s. Anna Baldwin, this is where her invention led to. The first used in Ontario, Canada. You see these circular pins. Cows like circles. You can find out more about that later. And they're robotic, so it's much quicker. You don't have to have an individual like Anna Baldwin's machine hook up to each other. It's a lot quicker this way. This is how milk is $4 a gallon. We think that's expensive, but it could be a lot more if it was hand milk.